Hello and welcome to today's training video on circle time and Tefillah time, how to create a truly engaging learning circle. So let us get started. First off, my name is Chani Wolshansky. I am founder of Discover Ed Consulting, and I'm excited to share this with you today. So this is what we're going to be talking about. Number one, how to set up a learning circle routine. Then we're going to talk about what to include in your circle time, how to create an engaging Tefillah time, and strategies and tips for sedaka and Mitzvah, which is like a real biggie when it comes to the circle and how to really optimize it in the best possible way. So let's get started with circle time, okay? Circle time allows our children to engage in social activities, which offer opportunities for both cognitive and social play for the developing children. So you always want to start off with, what is the focus of circle time? Like, why am I doing this? Is it just because, oh, this is what we do in preschool, we have circle time, but okay, great, and now what, and why? So circle time teaches children to act appropriately in large groups, take turns with activities, and focus on the teacher. There's so many incredible skills that you could be teaching a child during circle time that don't mitigate the fact that it's an important piece of the day. It all depends on how you structure it and your framework for coming to the circle, and always going back to, why are you doing this circle? Is it a filler of time? Is it because this is what everybody does? Why are you doing circle time with this age group? And soon we'll get into the 7 questions for any routine or anything that you do in the classroom should always be filtered through a very specific question lens, which we'll get into in a couple of minutes. So let's start with something basic that I'm sure you've seen in a lot of classrooms. And again, I just want to preempt it by saying that all of the strategies you're going to see in here are nothing earth-shattering. A lot of them you've seen around all over the place. I'm bringing everything together into one compacted space for you to learn all the key components of really running a truly effective and engaging circle. So over here you have the individualized circles. So children could sit on their own individual circles by their name. So before morning meeting, which is something that I used to call it, you can call it whatever you want, each child takes a circle and places it at their spot. Now, I want to walk you through the skills that children learn by creating their individual space, okay? By giving each child a specific place at the circle, it teaches them spatial awareness, which is the understanding the position of objects in space in relation to their body. So you know those kids that like come straight up to your face and they're like, hi, more, and they're like right in front of you. They do not have the concept of proprioceptive boundaries yet. This is a great way to start teaching them that. This is also a huge component of social skill training. When children start understanding their body in relation to space in relation to their peers, those are the kids that start having this understanding that we don't fall on other children. And when someone's standing in front of you, they're standing in front of you. So you need to say, excuse me, or walk around them. That is where that association starts coming from. And you can foster that by creating individualized circle spaces for each child. This is one of the ways how children begin to develop an understanding of distance, direction, location, which are all integral skills for going about their daily activities. Another huge part is spatial awareness is directly linked to reading, math, and artistic ability. Okay, spatial awareness. Let's talk about reading. Children that are reading English and Hebrew, multi-directional, left to right, right to left, up, down, this side of the page, that side of the page, going to here, there. These are all huge pieces which can only happen when a child has these integral foundational skills. And these are some great ways to build them, okay? Now, as I said before, there are 7 questions of any routine that you want to filter. Before you do any activity in the classroom, ask yourself these questions. When does this happen? When does this activity, whatever it is that you're choosing, when does it happen? What is the purpose of this time? Okay, so we're talking about circle. When does this happen? Well, maybe it happens 2 times a day. Once right after snack, once right before lunch. Okay, what is the purpose of this time? Well, the first circle, its purpose is to do this. The second circle's purpose is to do this. How will you open, engage, and close the circle? Again, you can't just bring kids together to the circle without any purpose. What are you doing to open the circle? Is your circle opened with a specific song, a chant, a kinesthetic movement, a visual cue? How do the children know this is when the circle begins? How do you engage the children during this circle? Is it very hands-on? Is it mainly frontal teaching? Is it an engagement? Is it peer interaction? Is it a small group activity? What is the engagement component during this activity? And finally, how do you close the activity? Children need to understand a signal when the circle time is over. Is there a specific song? Is there a chant? Is there a message that you say? Do you end off with a specific sentence or a line or whatever it is? How do they know that this class, this circle is over? When I was in seminary, we had a teacher. We always knew exactly when his class was over because he would say, in Hebrew, he would say, Siyamnu, which means we're done, we're closed. And all of us knew. We were 43 girls in the class. We all knew you didn't stand up, you didn't do anything until you heard that word. That was the signal that class was over, okay? Now, for children, you don't say, circle time over. That's not the signal that you're going to say to kids. And you could create whatever signal it is that you want, but there has to be something specific and consistent so that children know that the circle is over. When it comes to specific activities, there isn't always this closing time, right? Because you want to create this flexibility to it. However, there is a specific closing time for certain things, like now it's lunchtime. So yes, even though you're in the middle of engaging in this activity right now, we can put this aside, we can move it over here, we'll come back, we'll revisit it, but now this time is over, we're moving on to the next activity. The next thing you want to ask yourself is, how long will this last? Circle time, a specific designated sitting time, has a specific time frame. Again, you could be a little bit longer, a little bit shorter. This isn't about rigidity and about it's got to be exactly 7 minutes to the T, because if it isn't, then we have 3 minutes of extra spare time and oh my God, what are we going to do during that time? If that's what's frustrating you and flustering you and driving you crazy, maybe you should readjust what position you have in the classroom, because you can't run a classroom on that kind of rigidity of like, it's got to be exactly 7 minutes. It's got to be exactly 10 minutes. Nothing's got to be exact. But you have to pick a time frame, meaning these are some of the questions I want to ask the kids. These are some of the discoveries that I'd like to make. Here are some of the, I'd like to teach this specific section of the Hanukkah story. If the children get very engaged and they're asking a lot of questions and don't end up teaching the whole thing, so be it. But this is a specific goal that I'd like to get done, okay? You need to have some kind of time frame. The sixth question, how will you transition to the next activity? You can't start thinking about, oh, circle time is over. Okay, so we need to go outside now. Okay, so, Sarah, you could go get your coat. It doesn't work like that. You have to know before you even sit at the circle what your transition is going to be. The minute you say that closing point, that cue, you immediately go into the transition activity. You're moving with those transitions so that your classroom is consistently operating. Less waiting time, less discipline problems. Less discipline problems, a lot more time for learning opportunities and engagement and fun and creativity. So take the time to ask yourself these questions. And the final question is, how does this routine change and reflect on the children? So if I'm doing this circle time or this routine or whatever it is, how is this changing my children? Is it making them better? Am I adding more value to their lives? How am I helping them reflect on this? Again, you want to be purposeful. You want to be mindful. Why am I engaging with the kids right now? Don't just stuff information down their throats. What is it that you want to convey? What is the message that is truly important that you'd like to impart to these beautiful young minds who are so impressionable and are sponges? They soak up every word that you say. Ask yourself these 7 questions before you do any type of activity with the kids, and your day will be different. So, some questions to ask yourself when it comes to circle time, okay? What does circle time mean to the age group that you're teaching? What does circle time mean to a 2-year-old, to a 3-year-old, to a 4-year-old? It means something very different to each age group. What is circle time in the culture and environment of your school? For some schools, circle time is a very specific thing that has to happen. You got to do the weather and the calendar and the this and the counting and the song. You got this, you got to do all that stuff. Fantastic. That's important to that school. Not every school is like that. Are you aware of the culture and environment of your school, and what are the requirements during circle time or during a learning session? Okay? What do you want your children to gain from this experience? How will they be seated? Who will lead the circle? Will they take turns? What is happening during this circle? So here's some really great props to have during your Tefillah circle. A CD player, a Torah, a sedaka box, a siddur, a blanket, spray bottle, washing cup, mitzvah notes. These are all fantastic props. I'm going to walk through every single one and show you how you can optimize it or channel it to work for your specific school. So over here, we have an actual siddur. This is a large siddur. It looks a little small in the picture, but this is oak tags, just color copied, put onto oak tags with spirals. We took pictures of the kids doing different parts of the Tefillah songs that we chose. And you can have a child hold it, or in the beginning of the year, the teacher could hold it. The point is that you are catering to the visual learner at that circle. The child is a visual learner who needs to see things. This is creating a success point for the child to feel successful during your Tefillah circle. If your Tefillah circle is you leading and just singing songs with absolutely no props, no engagement, nothing going on, you really can't expect anyone to be involved because you're not teaching the kids. You're talking to yourself. You're putting on a show for the kids so they could be excited about it or not. When you go to a show, sometimes you like the comedian and sometimes you don't. But you sat there, okay? Because you paid for the ticket, so you sat there. The kids this is their routine, so they sit there. It doesn't mean they're engaged. It doesn't mean they're getting anything or processing anything that's going on. If you want them to, you want to cater to all the learning styles. This is for the visual child, okay? Having a CD player, you're catering to the auditory child, okay? Over here, you're creating a sensory experience, which all children are sensory learners. So this is adding a spray bottle component. So if you do a washing hand song like the teila, this is just a great way to add this turn-taking, fine motor skills, and sensory experience. You can have one child go around with the spray bottle, and the kids could put their hands on it, and he could spray everyone's hands. So you're adding this new component. So the child who's getting bored or distracted or looking for some excitement, this is going to feed that need for that child. Again, you need to be talking to everyone in your class. You can't just be engaging the few kids that are just always engaged or always excited about every time you open your mouth. You need to be creating an experience where every single child in the classroom truly feels successful and wants to be a part of that circle. Here's another one. And I love this one. This was like an all-time favorite of mine when I did Tefillah circle. So this is a large blanket. You could use anything. You could use a colorful blanket. You could use just a regular brown blanket. Totally up to you. The point is that when you sing the Moda'ani song, the standard is everyone make a fake pillow out of your hands and pretend to go to sleep, right? And the kids really like it and it's fun. But not every kid gets involved in that, and sometimes you need to change things up. Fantastic. Bring in the large blanket. Brings in a couple of things. Number one, everyone's sitting around the circle and you cover everyone with this blanket, okay? So it really brings in this concept of spatial awareness. 1 second. Chaya isn't covered yet. 1 second. Sam still needs a little bit more pieces, okay? Sharing. We're all sharing one large blanket. And once again, bam, sensory experience. And I'm huge on that. And for those of you that know me, I am a huge proponent of bringing sensory experiences into all areas of learning because that's how children learn. So bring in this piece over here, just adds this great, fun, new, exciting layer to it, okay? Then we have Torah time, okay? Now, with Torah time, you can have turn-taking, have the concept of passing an object. This is a great time to teach the kids the value of a Torah. What is a Torah? Why is it valuable? You know, why do we have to be so careful the way that we pass it so it shouldn't drop on the floor? This is great values that you're teaching a child from such a young age. You have the power to impart that knowledge to the child. It's all how you present it to him and how you position this time, okay? Now, sedaka time, okay? This is a very controversial topic that I have with a lot of teachers. And again, I've worked with thousands of teachers from all across the globe. And whenever I bring up this topic, I always find it to be like, what do you mean? Sedaka time has to happen at the Tefillah circle. And some teachers are like, no, it can happen at a different time. So here's the thing I want to ask you, okay? Think about why you have this as part of your Tefillah circle, okay? Sedaka is a concept, charity, that you want to teach children, okay? Does it need to be a part of the Tefillah circle, or can they do it at a different time of day? And so this is the one little thing I'm going to ask from you, is that try not to limit yourself to doing something a certain way just because it's always been done that way, okay? That's where you fall into a trap. Just because you've always done sedaka a certain way and it's been fine, it's working, it's fantastic, great. And so what? Try it a different way. It might work even better. You might be introducing a whole new concept to the kids that you were never able to do before because you've done it a certain way. So while most people will tell you, if it ain't broken, don't fix it, and I'm a big believer in that also, sometimes it's one second. Yeah, it's been working great, but let's try to switch things up a little bit, okay? Think about it. Just let it marinate inside a drop. So here's another way to do sedaka time, okay? You create individual slots for the coins. So this new like little sedaka pouch or check or money pouch, whatever it is. Sold on Best Buy, I think. So basically it's like this magnet that you could stick to the door or whatever it is, and the kids come in and they put their money inside there. Or I've seen this in a lot of places where they have an ice cube tray. The point of this is it teaches ownership and responsibility, okay? When I come in the morning, I need to put sedaka over here. It teaches the concept of personal space, of impulse control. I can only take my pennies and following multiple step directions. So this is just another way to do charity. And lastly, this is a mitzvah note system that I created in my classroom. I think it was the last year that I taught, I finally, totally upped the game and really created this entire experience for the children. So I always called mitzvah notes like, the mitzvah mailbox. And I know that a lot of teachers have this concept of a mitzvah mailbox. But the way that I created over here was that we actually ordered a life-size mailbox. It was the size of the child. I believe we ordered it from Lakeshore Learning, for those of you that are wondering where we got it from. And right outside the classroom, we set up the mitzvah notes in this little basket with pens. And when parents came in to drop off in the morning, they would write a mitzvah note for their child, or they did it the day before, and the child would put the mitzvah note in this mailbox. And then either during mealtime or sometimes when I took the kids outside, I'd take the mailbox with me outside and I'd read mitzvah notes outside. It wasn't always this class grandiose thing where everyone's I'm reading all the mitzvah notes now, and everyone's got to sit quietly as you make your way through 13 mitzvah notes, and everyone's got to sit and listen. So again, it all depends on the culture and the age group that you're teaching. If you have 13 mitzvah notes, don't make every kid sit and listen to every single one. Think about yourself when you're sitting at a staff meeting, okay? And the director's going around and she starts saying, okay, so in class 1, let me tell you what's going on in class 1. This parent is this, and this parent is this, and this. You don't need to listen to all of that, okay? Unless the director's going around and she's sharing here's positive recognition from every single class. That's really nice to listen to, right? But if you have 30 teachers, that's a little bit much to go around and start complimenting 30 teachers individually at a staff meeting. That's not really the time and place for it. The same thing goes with young kids. If you have 13 mitzvah notes, that's a lot for a child to sit through. So you could do it in small groups, okay? You have 5 kids at a table. Whoever's at that table listens to those 5 kids at that table. Or you could take it outside with you, or you could take it to the gym, or you could, whatever it is. The point is, don't get stuck in this we always do it now. This is the way it's done. This is the way it's got to be. We got to power through. No. Think about what's working and what's not working. And this is always like my rule of thumb that I ask myself. If I have to ask a child to stop, or if I have to implement some kind of discipline strategy, or I have to stop at least twice during some kind of thing that I'm doing, that means it's not working. So if I'm reading mitzvah notes and 2 times I have to say, you know, Amora's still talking, or hang on a second, or whatever it is. Why? Why am I stopping? Like, if the system works, then it works, and I'm able to get through it. The kids are engaged, they're listening, they're excited, they're participating. But if I have to consistently discipline, it's like that rule of thumb when it comes to circle time, okay? If you're disciplining 2 or 3 times during the circle, it's not working. You're boring, or the kids aren't interested in listening, or you didn't bring engaging stuff, or you're not asking the right questions, or your circle isn't developmentally appropriate. But if you have to stop too many times, it's not working. You need to constantly reflect on that. Is it working? And a lot of times you got to take that look at yourself. So here's the summary. Okay, how to set up a learning circle time. We spoke about that. We spoke about the 7 questions of any routine. I strongly recommend going back, rewinding, and listening to that part because it's truly valuable. We spoke about creating an engaging teila circle that starts with bringing in props and hands-on materials. And finally, we ended off with strategies and tips for sedaka and mitzvah notes. I just want to thank you all for watching. You can leave a comment, question, anything that you have about this video. I'm more than happy to answer them. Thank you so much, and I will see you next time.